Tell me about urban risk in megacities. What conclusions came out of this session?
I think one of the most interesting aspects of the discussion was that all the speakers agreed that the main actor missing in a lot of the debates about how you handle risks globally, how you work together on risks, is really the local level of government. So whether they were from the UN, from the Swiss Seismological Service, or from other organizations, all speakers agreed that local governments and local populations must be included more in the big debates about how to handle risks. So we talked about earthquakes, we talked about earthquakes in China, we talked about the risk of earthquakes everywhere, we talked about Haiti, obviously, and in fact, the director of the Swiss Seismological Service was a bit pessimistic because earthquakes are always a surprise and therefore they're never a surprise. He said professionals in the field were not surprised that Haiti came because Haiti was supposed to come, we didn't know when. So in a way that was a pessimistic view about how to be prepared for it. But even he agreed, and he made an interesting announcement about an OECD initiative to work together, a global earthquake modeling service that they're setting up. And even he was pointing out that different actors have to be targeted to work together in that initiative to be better prepared for earthquakes. So the notion of linkages between different levels of government, between different actors in society was very much emphasized. And then, of course, at the end of the session, we had the launching of the campaign, How to Make My City Resilient, so that the discussion kind of fed nicely into the launching of that campaign, because it was, in fact, the conclusion of all of the speakers that local governments had to have a more prominent agenda in managing risks. Maybe one final statement. We had somebody from the World Health Organization, and he emphasized very much that the whole issue of health in big cities is always related to risk and vice versa. So if you want to have a healthy city, you have to deal with the risks. If you want to have a risk-resilient city, you have to deal with health. So those were some of the central issues that were raised in the discussion in the session we just finished.
Could you maybe describe in a few words the initiative, what it's all about?
The initiative of the launching of the campaign? Mm-hmm. Well, it's the UN International Strategy for Disaster Reduction is launching their 2010-2011 campaign. It's the World Disaster Risk Reduction campaign, making cities resilient. And the emphasis is very much on what every individual can do to target their community, and then on what every local community can do to become more risk resilient. And actually the framework that was presented was very simple. It's a 10-step process. Try to do this, and then there are 10 steps, and I won't reproduce those now, but they're very simple leaflets that everybody can go home with. And in fact, I think that's one of the very interesting things about this UN campaign, that whether you're a professional or not, you're a local citizen. So in fact, we're all we're all in this conference as local citizens. So actually, the campaign is directed at us, whether we are working for a local government or not. We live in a local government. The essence of the campaign very much repeats what we covered in our discussion, that local communities must take action in different ways. It concerns budgetary decisions. In fact, there was an example from a local community in the Philippines dedicating 15% of its budget to risk prevention and risk governance. But the mayor of that city, a very risk-prone a city with a very high risk rate, earthquakes, flooding, tsunamis, etc. The mayor, as an elected official, as a politician, knows very well that by dedicating a larger budget to that topic, he will be elected. In fact, he's been elected apparently already 4 times. So that was an interesting example of, you have to account for expenses in your budget as a local community. And this was one of the issues that came up as part of the launching of the campaign. The campaign is on the website. If you want, I can tell you the name, but that's probably not necessary in this context. But all local communities can very easily connect to the campaign on the internet and find out what they can do to contribute to a successful outcome of the campaign for the 2010-2011 initiative. And mayors are signing up to the campaign. There was a signing ceremony yesterday in Bonn, at the Bonn Center for Local Communities, and we had 2 mayors sign tonight as part of the launching of this campaign, one from China and of course the mayor of Davos. So that was the end, the signing of this document committing these 2 communities to the campaign was the end of the ceremony this afternoon.
Thank you very much.